That was quite the one-sided battle of Overlord Episode 4 this week. Momonga, or Ainz as he wants to be called now, just decimates the entire enemy army like it's nothing. Like it's straight up child's play. Like that's how bad it was. And I can understand his viewpoint of the way he acted in this episode. Because, I mean, let's look at this as a gamer's perspective real quick, okay? If you have spent countless hours, which we know for a fact that Ainz or Momonga has played for hours, and when it was a game, he played for hours to get the stuff he has, you gotta think, the time investment he put into the series, when you put that much investment into a series and you get this strong, like he's at God status pretty much of the series, when you get that strong, when you look at beings like in video games, let's say like you're playing Dark Souls, okay? Let's just look at Dark Souls or Diablo or anything, or even World of Warcraft. When you go through different stages of the game and you get to a certain point with your level, you're gonna look at these lower levels like they're ants or bugs, insects, and that's kind of the way, you know, our MC Momonga is actually looking at everybody right now. Everybody that can't stand to him in power is insects, and I feel like that's more of a mentality of a /gamer / being undead. That's what it really looks like, because, I mean, right now, one thing that Ainz is missing right now from this world is a challenge. Someone that could strike fear into him. See, for the first time in this episode, he felt pain. Like, he felt how it felt to take damage, and it didn't really affect him that much. It was 7th tier magic, which we saw demonstrated last week, which was barely shit at all. Like, we saw it KOing humans like it was nothing, and, you know, if you go further up, he went, like, the 9th tier magic. I think that's what, you know, our MC, you know, Ainz did last week. So if you think about this, it just goes to show you how high up in God status he is when it comes to his magic, his power. I mean, you have it to where these humans are shitting in their pants. They look at this giant-ass being that's like an angel, like an archangel, and he just uses a black hole and it fucking disintegrates. It's gone. Like, you saw how anticlimactic that was. Like, not in a bad way. It was not nowhere near in a bad way. Just the way this dude, these humans just summon this giant-ass thing that looks like it might be a boss of a quest, which I guess you could kind of consider it a boss. It just summons and all that, and it looks like menacing and powerful. You're like, holy crap, don't touch this thing. And all of a sudden, you see it to where he just puts his hand on his face and he starts laughing and stuff like, I was so scared of this. And then he just does black hole. And then you just see this little, tiny little thing. It's so slow, too. It goes fucking slow. Like, it's not fast. The way Madhouse animated that scene, it was trying to build up the suspense, but also just show how anticlimactic this fight was, because that poor monster just got decimated. It just sucked in the black hole. It's gone. And just, it's gone. I mean, music stops and everything. Everybody's looking like, what the fuck did he just do? I mean, he's like a god slayer or something. That's kind of what he just did. He just murdered that freaking angel. So, from what we could see here, the mentality that Ainz has is something I covered last week, and we get to see more of that in a darker theme and perspective with this week's episode. See, he was going out of his way even to voice that he thinks humans, or these people he was fighting, were insects. And this leads into my earlier arguments in this video. For instance, as I said, when you're a gamer and you play for so long and you get to a certain point in power, you're gonna look at everybody lower than you as if they're fucking bugs or insects or people that can't really touch you, or even fodder. That's what you're gonna look at. I mean, think about it. Let's just be real here. I mean, if you were to sit there and grind your ass up in an MMORPG until like your max level, and then you go to a level 5 area, of course you're just like, think about it. That's kind of how he feels right now. So, I can understand how he feels, but I think there's going to come a time somewhere in this series where he's going to want a challenge, because at the moment he has nothing. He has nothing to aspire to be. For instance, I mean, he wants to conquer the world, and that's his goal, which it seems relatively easy if you start thinking about, you know, how easy it's been, because he's wiping out, like, you know, Empire secret weapons and shit, which, yeah, but still, I'm willing to bet there's going to come a time to where he's going to want to have a challenge, because if it's too easy, you will get bored real quickly, and you'll feel like it's nothing worthy of going for, and so I feel like that will happen eventually in this series. But getting back into this episode, though, I have to say, I like this series so much, I really do. As I've already said in my top 5 favorite series so far from this anime season, Overlord was my number 1. Is it still my number 1? Hell yes, because the Death Knight scene of last week's episode and then this week's episode of just the one-sided slaughter, it's so good. It's so good because it's a different way to perceive these type of anime. For instance, when we look around, gaming, virtual reality stuff, like, anime, it usually feels the exact same, but this anime, or this series, has a very different vibe, a theme about it that I am liking. I am just loving the MC of how he acts, how he has been changed for better or for worse, depending on the situation. And I mean, it does seem like he still has his honor intact after looking at this episode, because he helps out the human captain that was about to get killed when he was surrounded, about to be killed by the angels. He had to where Ainz teleported into a spot and saved his ass. And, when I was actually watching this episode, you know what I thought that little item was going to do? Like, I know I'm fucked up for faking this, but that's exactly what I thought. I thought that item was going to resurrect that captain from the dead. Now, not in the sense of bringing him back as human, but bringing him back as an undead soldier. That's what I thought was going to happen, because it just seems like that would suit the overall presentation of the Overlord's character, because, I mean, last week's episode, he summoned a fucking Death Knight. The Death Knight kills people, it turns into freaking zombies, the people he kills. I mean, he's kind of like the Lich King, and then all of a sudden, I saw that item given to the captain. I'm like, that dude looks like Ainz might try to turn into, like, some form of Kel'Thuzad. If you know Kel'Thuzad, you know who I'm talking about. I could see something like that fucking happen. That'd be crazy as shit if that does happen, but right now, at the moment, I am really, really impressed by the way this series has been handled. I'm liking the way the violence and gore has been done in this series, because usually when it comes to this type of stuff, it gets censored so hard. It's fucking censored. And I'm glad that Overlord is not censoring everything with black bars all over the place, fucking black circles on top of characters' heads and shit. Terraformers, I'm talking to you. I mean, I'm just glad that this series, at the very least, if it might be censoring things, but if it is censoring things, I'm not aware of it because it doesn't seem obvious, which that is good censors. When you're not aware of the censors, I think that's a good thing, because when you're aware of it, it just detaches you away from the episode. You're like, fuck, it's fucking censored. Like, why would I give a shit? I mean, that's usually what happens. The mentality of anime watchers when you watch an episode that's censored out the fucking ass. So, yeah, I mean, Overlord Episode 4. Have to say, where the series is progressing, world domination is going to be happening. I wonder what Ainz did to those mages. I really wonder what he did to those mages, because he said he was going to give them a death, like, very painful death. Like, he was going to torment them. We didn't really necessarily get to see that. We didn't get to see what Ainz did to those mages. Those soldiers that were attacking him with the angels, we didn't really get to see how they necessarily died. And I wonder what happened to them, because I'm going to assume, I'm assuming he interrogated them. I'm assuming that's what happened, because the main focus of last week's episode is he wished he would have kept one of the soldiers around for he can interrogate them and find out more about the different, countries and empires and stuff. And I feel like that's most likely what Momonga did to those mages, but I do hope we get to see whatever he did in the near future. If any light novel reader can actually let me know, was that scene in, I guess, the manga or light novel, was that skipped as well when you first read this segment of the series? For instance, like, I know sometimes series tend to do this. For instance, it goes through, like, a segment, you have it to where, like, maybe the main character does something and it kind of skips over it, and you don't get to find out maybe until 2 volumes later. So I'm asking you light novel readers and you manga readers, was that supposed to happen? Was there supposed to be some form of, like, time skip between that? A tiny little time skip, but was there supposed to be a time skip between that where we didn't get to see what he did to the mages? Please clarify in the comments below, because I am loving this series. I just want to know more information about this, if it was indeed skipped or if it was just part of the series. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.